Crystal eyes, colors of the sky, gray bushy beard, Santa's look alike, shine on your brothers on earth, suffering, living joy, or in pain. Crystal eyes, colors of the the sky. Gray bushy beard, Santa look-alike. Shine on your brothers on earth, suffering, living joy, or in pain. Bezerra de Menezes, Apostle of the good, receive our prayers and also our heart. Bezerra de Menezes, Apostle of the light, place our pain at the feet of Jesus Christ. Source of love that radiates, warming up our cold night, support and comfort, support and comfort, cascades flow down the mountain, calling the children of earth with love in their heart, with love in their heart. My soul never loses hope, because your love always teaches me the solution lies in hard work. The solution lies in hard work. For my mother's harvest of wonderful blessings. Make you, small son, a good Christian. Make you, small son, a good Christian.
And the scars of my disseminate wherever you are. Glowing seeds of love, as our Master Jesus taught. As our Master Jesus taught.
Another day, another flower, another minute past the hour. Someday the sky is blue, and suddenly we can't see through. And every day is a fresh new start, when the sun turns off the moonlight. We get another chance to choose the road we want to cruise. And on the other side of the mountain, there's always a whole new road, the new beginning calling after every end. There are a million reasons to pick you up after every fall. It's always a win in the new round. On the other side of the mountain, there's always a whole new road, and a new beginning calling after every end. And there are a million reasons to pick you up after every fall. It's always a win. It's always a win in the new round. It's always a win in the new round. It's always a win in the new round.
When I go in to pray, I look for my good Jesus, and when I close my eyes, I can feel all His light. I open my heart for all He has to say. He shows me the best way I can enjoy my life. Jesus, Jesus, they never we apart. Please bring all your light to shine inside my heart. Jesus, Jesus, I can be content. I have your endless love and your protecting hand.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our public meeting. We thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Before we start, we would like to share a couple of announcements. We ask you to turn off your phone notifications and find a quiet place during this time if possible. Our meeting will have a 30 minutes presentation followed by Q&A. Then, after the presentation, we will have a spiritual treatment with passes and magnetized water. So, we invite you to set aside a container with water to be magnetized. We would like to announce that our public meeting is being retransmitted today by Continental Conference Americas through their Facebook and will also be retransmitted every Wednesday at 8 p.m. East by Kardec Radio through their Facebook and YouTube. For those who want to learn more about Spiritism, Get to Know to Spiritism is a free and online course that happens every Saturday at 5:15 p.m. East. New class will be starting on fall. More information will be given soon, so stay tuned. And now I would like to invite our brother Rodrigo to make our opening prayer for us.
Good evening, Marcel.
Good evening, Rodrigo. How are you today?
Good. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too.
And by coincidence, is the topic of our talk tonight is about Valentine's special,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and people will be amazed by the talk for sure. So then I'm gonna invite everyone, if you wish, to close your eyes, elevate your thoughts to the spiritual friends, the mentors of this work, and to our Master Jesus for this great opportunity to be united in a digital platform where we can share experiences and learning from the moral teachings of our Master. We are also thankful for the presence of our guest speaker tonight, Anna from Alabama. We wish her the best talk and all the inspiration and intuition come from the spirits that Anna can deliver the message that we need, the message that will touch our hearts and making sense to us, that we learn from today's talk, and then we can apply for our daily lives. Dear Master Jesus, protect all of us, protect the work of tonight, protect all those in need, those that are looking for a comfort, words of wisdom and hope. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and we ask your blessings to start the work. Please, Master, be with us today and always, and help us stay connected with you as much as possible. So be it.
So, the topic of today's special meeting is Valentine's Day Family, Spiritual Development, and Society, which will be facilitated by our sister Ana Oliveira from Alabama, US. And everyone is welcome to write comments and questions in the chat, and we will address the questions at the end of the talk. Right now, we invite our tonight's speaker. Welcome, Anna.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always so nice to be here with you guys. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for us having you here with us. Okay, I
so,
see you soon.
so let me try to share my slides. Let me see. Computer. My slides are on my desktop, but okay, let me see. Let me share the screen. I guess it will work. Okay, here. Share. All right. Can you all see the slides properly? I'll take that as a yes. So we'll talk today in this special day, Valentine's Day, about family, spiritual development, and society. So this talk is based on this book by Divaldo Franco, The Medium, from the spirit Joanna de Angelis, called Family Constellation. So again, happy Valentine's Day. I even came, in red, trying to really spread the love, but it's always a pleasure to be here with the Canada group. It's an opportunity to be with friends, to exchange very good energy that this group has, and it's an opportunity also, since this is retransmitted, to have a little conversation too with our friends from Kardec Radio. So, what I wanted to in the beginning, just to explain a little bit. So, this is the book and it's called Family Constellation, but I don't want you guys to get confused a little bit with the psychological treatment technique called Family Constellation, too. So, as why I understand from the book is that, and we'll see this in the chapters we'll cover today, it's that Joanna de Angelis compared the family to a constellation, right? A collection of stars and planets that have, a harmony, right? They kind of orbit around each other, and they form this constellation, right? So they are all important and they have roles, and it's through their energy that they kind of keep them all together. So I think that's, in my interpretation, why the name of the book came. So we'll go through the beginning of the book, chapters 1 and 2, but I really invite everybody to read the rest of the book. It's a very easy read. But today, since we're talking about Valentine's and it's a Valentine's Day, so usually talks about love and dating, right? And that goes into family, right? And we're gonna talk about the importance, right, with the Spiritist's view, the importance of family in society, but also for our spiritual evolution. So, because this is a spiritist talk, right? We're spiritist, is important also to bring some of the fundamentals, right? That help us understand this connection, family, society, and also the different types of families. So, in the question 775 from the Spirit's book, Kardec asked the higher spirits what would be the effect on society if family ties were relaxed, and the spirits answered that it would lapse into selfishness. So that will be a very grave, right? A very serious consequence. And in the Gospel according to Spiritism, in chapter 14, item 8, there is, Kardec tells us that there are two kinds of families. So families through spiritual ties and families through bodily ties. So in that chapter too, if you're interested in this very fascinating and very important topic, and also a topic that touches everybody's lives, that is family, I really invite you to read that chapter too, where it's more explained what that means. But we'll talk a little bit about that, the spiritual ties, how these families come together. And that has to do with the complexity and also the importance of families. So, in the preface of the book, or in the introduction, so Joanna says that the family is the fundamental basis on which the immense edifice of society is built. So she says that in that small domestic group, then you start with this experience of universal brotherhood. And then you are rehearsing the steps that you need for noble commitments in favor of the construction of a balanced society. So it starts really bringing this idea of family, right, being the unit of a society. And it's there in those small groups that we have a chance to really develop ourselves, right? So she says that because of that, because of, in these small groups, it's such a great chance for us to develop, and to improve ourselves and to develop those noble commitments, that every time the family becomes weak or weakened, then society experiences conflict and is shaken in its structure. So, sometimes we really want to fix the problems of the world, but we always tell, we always are reminded to go back to each other. In the same way, if we want to fix the problems of society, we really need to invest in the family, right? We really, that is the little unit, right? It's the little cell that forms, that big, this bigger structure. So it's hard to try to tackle the problem just generally. But if we focus and we value, we honor, and we work with our families, we will definitely be helping society there. And of course, some people would say, well, but Anna, family, it's like even marriage, right? Maybe that is not something that happens anymore. It's a broken institution, you know, and that's where it's creating more problems than fixing them. But then Joanna reminds us that the failure that happens, the apparent failures of these unions, of these families, right, that have marriages, that sometimes have kids, it's not of the family itself, but it's actually this destructuring of ethicals and morals, right? So it's almost like from outside we are allowing this to be the morals and ethics and coming into the family, right? So then it's like the society impacting the family, not the family impacting the society that much, right? So she reminds us is that once we are enslaved to dissolving passions, right? So then we have this constant quest, and we're constantly anxious trying, and being enslaved really about technology and materialism, in those things that actually, she says, distracts and numbs us. And these are very powerful words, right? Distract us from what is really important and numb us, like making us think that to go through life we just need to numb ourselves. What it's the opposite, right? To live and to live in abundance, we have to go through the emotions, the feelings, the experiences, right? um it's very interesting because even in the preface she even talks about the bad influence that even sometimes religions has in that, right? Sometimes um, she talks about, that, and she mentions that sometimes some specifically um, fundamentals of some religions that even now have been debunked by science, then they provide more room for materialism because it centers people a lot in this, as the body, as the central and the reality of life, and through the only thing that can give us meaning, our body being the only thing, the only instrument that can give us an opportunity to enjoy pleasures. But we know that we are immortal spirits, right? So what happens once we die, when this time in this birth or this incarnation ends? I mean, the next step, what we do then, right? If we just focused so much in the body, in the physical body, and not in our spirit, in our true essence, that is being a immortal spirit. And this is something that even Kardec also tell us, right? That sometimes some dogmas from religions, they create more atheists than believers, because if you cannot use your mind, if you cannot face those dogmas with your intelligence, right, with rationality, then there's no way that you can believe in those things, right? uh, so that is sometimes the problem. Is not really in the family itself, but it's this way that we live now, where that we want, all these possible sensations to come and to happen and to give fruition, and we slave ourselves, so we work so hard to actually be able to achieve that. There is a box out there that's, the outside tell us that we need to fit in. So we have to have this specific job, we have to get this much money, we have to have this kind of clothes, we have to have this kind of house and this car, and our kids have to go to ballet and to go to soccer and to go to this school and do all of those things, um, because we have to reach that, right? And then we cannot lose this opportunity to live comfortably, when the ideal would be for us to try to live it right, right, to live correctly, to live. And this will be a topic that we'll be talking about a lot. It's is to see our family not just as this family right now, but the this is structured, this group of people that are helping us, move on from this life to the next one, to actually achieve a higher degree of evolution, right? So Joanna says that the human being is structurally built to live in a family, and that is there in the family where all those psychic content, so like all of those things that are innate to our spirit, they are dormant, and they need this stimuli, and that stimuli comes from the environment of the home, so that we can express them, we can make them better, we can sublimate themselves ourselves. So this is like the little preface, some of the points that I picked up that I thought it was very interesting for us to start this conversation. So the first chapter is called The First Steps. So Joanna reminds us that the family is undoubtedly the safe fortress for the creature to protect itself from the outside world's aggressions, right? So I know that also it might not be the safest place for everybody, but that's what it should, the ideal, right? So it should be that maybe at work I have a lot of stresses, that I, maybe I'm not that loved and everything, but once I get home, I should be able to look at these people around me. That would be the best, right? And the purpose of the family. If that doesn't happen, we're gonna see why that doesn't happen sometimes. But I should come home and I should feel welcomed. I should feel safe. I should feel like I can count with those people, right? It should not be the same, as when we are, in school or when we are at work, right? So these experiences there um, inside the home, the psychological maturity, the knowledge, and the experience, all of these that we learn in the environment of the home, right, from the guidance of the parents, the help of the siblings, and in all this structure, all these experiences, they actually help us to give us the skills that we can use outside too, right? That are crucial, like Joanna says here, for a joyful journey in society. So a lot of the phrases here will have this, and especially chapter 2 will be talking about family as a school, right? Something that we actually can learn and we can be trained, right? So she always reminds us, and she confronts this idea, and I really invite everybody to think about that. When people really say that, families are not doing their role, that marriage doesn't, need to be, it's broken and all of that, what are they really saying? And what should we really take from that, right? But she says that sometimes the family is really scorned and ridiculed by this philosophical cynicism of the times, because it's looking for these insatiable pleasures. This is what it advertises and calls for. But she reminds us that the family remains an unsurpassed organization for the establishment of a harmonious society. So again, um, some people, right, that do not have a healthy experience. So the family and the house, the home should be a safe place, should be a welcoming place, a loving place. But sometimes it's not like that. So then it's easier for some people to actually that don't have a healthy family experience to blame the family institution itself, right, for the conflicts. And some of them are very serious. We really have to make sure that it we sympathize with these brothers and sisters, because this is not easy, specifically because of that, because it is, right, supposed to be a place of safety, of welcoming and loving, and sometimes so that you can learn, but sometimes it's not like that. But it's not the family the problem, but then is are the people in there, because it's still uh, in a home is where the affection is developed, where you have respect for others' rights, awakening also our own rights, right? And if you have siblings, right, or cousins, you probably know exactly what Joanna is trying to say here, right? You have to negotiate sometimes your parents' attention, right? You have allowances or, resources in the house and things like that, So all of these, the financials, the emotional, you need to, you have to have your place, right, in that group too. Okay, so I'm the oldest daughter, or I'm the youngest one, and everybody has their own um personalities and things like that, right? But so you have to respect others' rights too, right? Because your siblings, especially if they're older, they're not going to let you mess up with, they will remind you that everybody has rights and there's a structure there. So that is a very important place for you to practice all of this, right? And Joanna reminds us too that this family group, that sometimes some people can think it's a random collections of souls. No, right? It's not a casual encounter of random souls. There is rather extensive planning that is done in the spiritual spheres before even we have the organic rebirth, right? And usually right? In these families, we have mutual commitments that sometimes they are positives or negatives, right? To mean like, okay, I already love you. I'll come in your very inner circle of your family to help you, or I actually hate you. I'm your enemy. And we'll come together in the same inner circle of a family so that we can learn by that proximity, by sharing all those experiences, by sharing, the same parents, and that same upbringing, that we are gonna, you know, work on that adjustment, right, of the relationships. And that way progress will occur because we are getting better with each other, right? I'm getting a little bit better and you too, so that way everybody, right, the collectively, we are all being better, right? So if you if you are thinking I'm talking about the importance of family, how families are nice and everything, and you're thinking, well, it's hard, that is one explanation why it can be really hard, because it's not a casual encounter of random souls, right? You have commitments there, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, but it's all these structure, these groups are formed not with punishment in mind, not with ill feelings or ill thoughts or intentions, but so that we have the necessary adjustment, and so that progress can occur. And so that's why it's important, as we're getting in today talking about Valentine's Day, to think about forming families. Sometimes people already go into a relationship thinking, well, I'm not going to give my best, I'm not going to really work through this relationship, anything, I can just divorce later. So you already starting, a commitment with somebody else, and you already prepared for separation. So from the get-go, you're already thinking it's not going to work. So guess what? That's not the best way to go into a relationship, right? So she mentions that this kind of behavior that we have, right, when it's a little bit more of a selfish in, and practicing indifference, to one another, instead of getting closer and really trying to work that, we're just gonna detach ourselves from these bad situations. And she says that sometimes it's us getting into this consumer driven philosophy, right, where everything is disposable, including human affection, and we know that it's not, right? So, and then she reminds us that people even try to justify that by saying, well, it's to avoid suffering. So, I'm not gonna be all in, because what if I get if I'm disappointed? So if this doesn't work, I don't want to be too much attached, so I'm going to avoid suffering. But that's not really the purpose of the family, and that's not really learning or doing anything, right? So she reminds us that dating is the first step in the affectionate path of mutual moral respect that will lead to a healthy and edifying home life, right? That in a turns help society. So that dating process needs to have a lot of this respect, and needs the work and the time and the effort that it deserves. So now it gets a little bit more about this idea of the constellation. So Joanna says in the family constellation, right, of how everybody, it's either star or a planet, and everybody's connected. That dating, right, that stage, this today, that you have the butterflies, that you fought so much for a reservation at the restaurant, that you bought flowers and chocolate and all of those things. Hopefully you do that other days of the week too, and the year, not just today. But she says that that is the bedrock, right, for the establishment of the home, which resists all of daily life's trials, right? So this is what you trying to do. You trying to have this relationship where you're still you, the other person is still them, but together we are stronger and we can learn and we can help each other to resist to all these daily life trials. So for chapter 2, and that is, my last chapter, I will remind you towards the end that for you to read the rest of the book. After talking about family as a school, it goes into the roles, for example, the next chapter of the parents, of the siblings, of the children, of the aunts and uncles, of even the neighbors. And then she goes into more about the education in the home. So she reminds us again that the family is the foundation upon society is built, being the spirit's primary school. And again, what are we learning? Are we learning math? Are we learning geography in the family? Are we learning foreign language? No, we are learning for all to actually express and awake all those latent faculties that we have, and we're trying to develop them. So she says that family is a school of blessing, right? Teaching us the essential duties towards a joyful life. Without it, ideals lose strength. If you think about that, that's where, at the home is where you really think about those things, right? So my mom was very strict with times. For her, it's such an unpolite thing for you to be late. So we could never be late. We had many, many opportunities to practice that. So that is, that essential duty, like the ideals. If it was not in that foundation, probably I would not learn the importance of being on time and everything so much. That is entrenched in me. And sometimes I want to be late, but I'm already stressed because, I had that training, right? This thing that my dad was okay for education, instilling us on doing this. So it helps me with my professional life and the things that I want to study. So you can see that those ideals, they would lose strength if it was not for that structure. The aspirations become numb, right? So maybe if I didn't have such supporting parents, maybe I would not tried, and went to college and everything. Sometimes I would think, oh, I'm not doing that great. But, then your aunt calls you and says, oh, you're so intelligent and you can do so many things, so these people really help us, right? And also our moral resistance, right? You learn at home that you shouldn't steal or that you shouldn't treat other people in the wrong way. You need to treat people with kindness. So if you're faced with a situation in school, for example, or at work, you will remember, right, those lessons. So it's really it's sometimes we don't think about that, but I'm so glad that I had to read and prepare for this, because that is such a beautiful sentence, saying that family is a school of blessings, teaching the essential duties towards a joyful life. Without it, ideals lose strength, aspirations become numb, and moral resistance is weakened. But she talks to us that is a permanent training camp. So remember, you're not going to learn everything at once. You're not going to learn everything through one experience. She says is a permanent camp that trains us, right? And she's saying where feelings and emotions are steered. And can we really relate to that, right? The people in your home, they are the ones who know you the most, right? They really know who you are. They know the buttons to push. They know what are your pet peeves are, how to get you to react this way or that way, right? So she says that these steering of feelings and emotions, they are ultimately renewing and guiding us towards the positive creation of future projects. So She says, as a result, we do not live in the ideal family we wish for, growing up with noble and wise spirits surrounding us. So be kind to your parents, right? They are trying to do the best. As a parent, I want to advocate for them too. But also, right, be kind to your kids. They are trying to learn that too. Be kind to your grandparents, to your aunts and uncles, right? They are not all, you also are not. None of us in our families are, no family is perfect, but because we are not noble spirits all together there. But she says that instead we come to a group in which our own evolutionary needs are addressed, right? So it's not what we want, what we wish for. That's, we don't live in an ideal family, but we live in a family that has the best conditions to suit our evolutionary needs, so that we grow. So that's something to think about, and to be more kind to you and towards your family. And she says that when family gets broken, right, due to aggression, disrespect, um, you know, society also suffers a blow. So that's the thing. Sometimes the family will get broken, but not because family doesn't work. It's just because of individuals, right? And she reminds us that even if it does not meet our expectations, since we encounter unfriendly members and previous lives enemies in the form of our current relatives, right? So this sentence right there, sometimes if we really meditate about that, it can explain a lot of the conflicts that we have in our families, right? And maybe it's the first time we encounter each other. Maybe we're so different. Maybe we actually have been in opposite sides of issues and serious matters. And now we're together in that family. So, you know, sometimes it will not meet our expectations of, if we have a romanticized idea of family, if we do not really study spiritism and know how these family groups are formed, so that, and what is the purpose of that, right? So she says that even if it doesn't meet our expectations, the home nonetheless is the place for practicing the existential philosophy that is necessary for leading a balanced and harmonized life. So she says it's an exercise of patience. So again, exercise and patience, right? She says in the home is where the members know one another and where masking one's inner flaws become difficult, right? Sometimes you can really fake it at work. You can really portray to be a person that you are not, but you're not gonna be able to do that so easily to your kids, for example, or to your parents, right? Maybe you can trick your friends, but your parents, they know you better, right? They've known you from good and bad situations for a long time. They have time to observe you, so they can see those differences. So, you know, she says that because we know one another, right, because of this proximity, this intimacy, those imperfections that we have, they are lapidated. So they are polished through continuous friction, right? So the friction in the family should not be seen as, something that it's negative. It's through this conflict that we actually work things out, right? But of course, we're talking about frictions and conflicts and things like that. We're not talking about violence, abuse, and those things, they are not acceptable. And she even says that these a lapidation process, or this polishing process, ought not to lead to indifference, hate, jealousy, or revolt. That's not the purpose, right? So we have to work through that, but coming in a positive way. So she says that those individuals, because it might be that for some of us, unfortunately, as we're meditating and reflecting about our families, we're thinking about this individual that maybe is aggressive or is cynical, right? That it's always creating problems, that it's so exhausting because there's always war going on. But she means reminds us that that person is sick in the soul, right, and needs guidance and even more patience. But of course, we need to make sure that we are safe. So the family constellation, she says, that reminds us, like in the universe, where you have bigger planets, small planets, stars, and then you have a planet and you have a satellite and an asteroid. And she compares the parents being the largest stars because they have more mass, they have more gravitational pull, right? So they bring the children kind of by magnetic force, around them. And then the children will be the smaller planets that will be orbiting around them. But that is so important of the family because those children, right, as they are growing, they, in a similar fashion, they will also be satellites that then they will attract other planets and stars around them. And right, they will have their kids and everything. So they will be also creating, other parts of this constellation. And she says, in it reminds us that in the nature, everything is in harmony, right? So the stars are there, bound together. They orbit in this specific way. They are not hitting each other, right? They are in this perfectly balanced, in this equilibrium by these cosmic laws. But in the family, because we have feelings and we have different emotions and we have different experience and different backgrounds and different moral levels, that is different. So the harmony in that constellation of the family oscillates. So it goes up and down according to the ethical moral development of each being. It's that constant with pull and push and pull from how one is and how one wishes to be, right? So that is the struggle there. That is the quest, is to be more like I want to be, right, than less than who I really am. But because we're different, then the harmony, it depends on the family. But she says that no matter how much the family is attacked by modern parameters, the family will never be defeated as an institution because the heart's love is expressing greater power inside the home, being the nucleus of its formation for the future expansion towards the colossal human collective. So that's what we're striving for. We're going for, learning in small groups how to support bigger groups. So, sometimes we want, world peace. We do, but how can we think that different countries that have different cultures and different interests and everything, they will be able to talk to each other if sometimes even in the same family we cannot still make that, harmonization, and all of those things. So we are in these small groups, but like Spiritism says, I should not be attached because today I'm my son's mother, but next time I can be his sister. The next time I cannot even be very close to him in the next birth or reincarnation. But the purpose that of me having different children, right? I love these two that I have in this birth so much, but I don't remember the ones that I had before. I will have other ones, is so that I can learn to love more than one or two people, right? That I can really have this idea of human collective, or um, um, a spiritual universal family, right? So the family is the nucleus of a spiritual formation, calling for understanding of relationships which can lead to successful future partnerships. She reminds us in the animal kingdom, and I promise you guys I'm almost done, that these bonds between parents and the baby animals, usually if the animal can feed itself, himself or herself, right, themselves, if they can feed themselves, they are on their own. But the ties between parents and children are never broken, even when the relationships are strained. They are simply postponed to another incarnation, a new opportunity where experiences are repeated until the achievement of affectionate harmony and bonding are reached. So remember, family as a school. In a school, if you do not advance, if you don't pass the test, you repeat that same grade and you repeat it again and you repeat it again until you actually can pass that test and you can show that you learned the content for that grade. Then that's when you promote it to the next grade. So even when these relationships are seem to be broken, but they are never, because they are strained, but they are never broken, because there will be an opportunity for these relationships to be rebuilt. I think this is probably my last slide. So Joanna says that towards the end of that chapter number 2, that divine laws state that only through love can the spirit find true fulfillment. This sentiment of love is developed in the family. So you have all these different experiences that you have to exercise: abnegation, affection, kindness, and tenderness. She says that with this training in the home, the spirit is capable of loving with greater magnitude and depth, reaching out to society, that is the spirit's universal family. So, like I said, I want to encourage you to read more. There is more, it's just a little bit so that we could think about what is the importance of family in a day where we celebrate love, right? We celebrate the dating, the relationships between men and women, but also in the US is good because it's also celebrated like friendship, right? So all of these love and these relationships. So we are here reflecting in the importance of the family in our spiritual development and in the betterment of the society too, right? So again, remember, what will be the effect on society if the family ties were relaxed according to what the spirits told Kardec, is that it would lapse into selfishness. And selfishness, it doesn't mean progress. It actually, doesn't mean progress. So we need to honor more our families, understand more, and try to really use this opportunity, this structure that we have to develop ourselves and also to develop society in that way. So with that, I thank you everyone for this opportunity. It's always great to be with you, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Anna, for your presentation, your great presentation and reflection on this lesson. Yeah, and we do have a couple of questions. The first one is from Rodrigo. So his question is, what's the biggest challenge today and how Spiritism can help us to navigate these challenges?
Yeah, I think it really is what she was talking about. This idea. Because sometimes on Facebook and Instagram, the families might look very perfect, right? And then you look at your own family and you're thinking, wow, it's, we're okay. But, sometimes we fight. We are not that perfect picture like we see others. But, it's remembering that there is always these idea outside, but looking and learning. And I think this idea that we are immortal spirits, right? That we are not, that we live for a longer time. That is not just this time that we're here, but what we do here impacts our next step. Knowing that how the families are formed, right? Sometimes if it's hard, is because it can be hard. It's a school, so it's school, and usually we don't like to go to school, and it's not easy, right, to learn. So I think learning some of the fundamentals of spiritism, like the immortality of the soul, the reincarnation. I think it is, and how families are formed. I think this help us to have a more hopeful and a more um, rational and more natural, and more calm, instead of this very naive idea of family.
And think that there is a reason for everything, right?
Right. Mhm.
Mhm. I'm having it's mine. So we know that family is the laboratory of the soul, but we also know that there are many conflicts among family members.
Right.
So what can we do to overcome these conflicts and maintain peace in our home? I think you have told something, Karen, but
Mhm.
if you can.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think to talk and to not be indifferent. In this book, it's talking about that sometimes we're so distracted, so that we are always distracted on so trying not to be in that way. I know the parents have to work, but spending time with the kids. I know that kids sometimes don't like to spend time with the parents. They are also distracted with that. But I think if we have time, to spend with each other, to learn about these emotions, to know about each other, so that we are making those bonds and preparing ourselves to learn how to do these things outside. I think
Mhm,
the gospel at home is a good practice, that can bring the family together. So
mhm,
the parents, right, to pray for your kids too, right, is we do believe in the power of prayer. It's not that it's going to solve everything, we still have to do our part, but it will help with this environment, right? So it would be a way to spiritually help your environment of your house to be more of that safe space too, because if
mhm.
we're coming from outside, we have all these thoughts, we have problems and everything. So if we have time to take care of ourselves and really focus that, sometimes there are financial problems, physical problems, health problems, and all these other things, but we are immortal spirits, right? And we're here to learn. Like you said, there's a reason for everything, and the reason is never to punish us, but it's actually to help us to overcome those things. And even if we look back at the things that we already had to overcome to be here today, right, we can see how actually we can do better things, we can overcome things, but sometimes when we are inserted in that problem, we just think, oh, I cannot do it, right? But
Mhm.
if we look very rational, we had problems before and we were able to overcome them.
Yeah, true. And the last question is from Paulo. He's asking, according to your explanation, the family is the most important cell that teaches us the values we need to fulfill God's law.
Yeah, yeah. So it's easier to learn in the family than to learn, in a bigger group. It's almost like in school. Sometimes we do these small groups so people can talk more. You can have more time.
Mhm,
It's like that. So, and because of the unique experiences, right, with the family, hopefully there is some love and support there, but it will have conflicts, but that is kind of a, hopefully, is a safe space for us to learn. And that's where we learn those morals too, right? It's where we learn to respect each other, right? We have some discipline, like sometimes some chores, the importance of work, all of these things that can help us prepare us for society, right? My mom always used to say, well, you don't work, but your work is school, right? So if I could show that I can manage my little homework and my
mhm,
schoolwork, then
mhm.
hopefully I can also hold a job later and things like that, right? So these little things that we learn, it's usually in the family, right? The religious education also comes,
Yeah,
from.
and we know that the world doesn't teach us with so much love as family does.
Exactly, exactly, right? We learn either from pain or through love, right? So usually
Yeah,
family, it's more through love, but one way or the other we'll learn. But the family is our really, it's our first opportunity and that really is small, group that we can learn a lot about ourselves and others so that we can be, better in society too.
Yeah, true. And Rodrigo is giving you a compliment
Thank
about the the reflection, and I'm giving mine compliment too.
thank
Was
you.
yeah, it was really really good to clarify lots of things about family, and so yeah, it was really really good. Thank you so much, Anna.
It's always great to be with you guys.
Okay, you will always be welcome here. And thank you for your participation in the chat. We will now move to the preparation for tonight's spiritual treatment. PASS is the transfusion of spiritual energy with the goal of assisting with our physical, emotional, and mental balance. PASSes help us to restore a state of harmony and peace by replacing negative energy with healthy and positive energy. In order to receive the best benefits from passes, please follow the audio instructions or remain prayer. You may close your eyes to help with mentalization. During the pass, the water you set aside will also absorb the spiritual energy that your family and you can benefit from. We will now make a prayer in preparation for the pass, which will be our closing prayer as well. So now I invite everyone to close our eyes if you feel comfortable with this. Elevate our thought. Dear Lord, we thank you for this blessed night and for everything we learned during this tonight's talk. May we can practice your teachings and not sin by thought, not by actions. Be a better family member. Follow your steps. May we always pray and watch ourselves to stay in the good and to improve ourselves every day. We ask you and the good spirits to bless us all during this treatment and that we can finish it better than when we started. Please, Jesus, bless our week and our steps. Once again, thank you for everything you have done for us and stay with us today and always. In Jesus' name, amen.
Let us now prepare ourselves for the moment of the passes and the magnetization of water. Let's now calm our hearts, breathing in and out. Pay attention to your body. Focus on your breath and let yourself be carried by this energy. Let your thoughts pass by without judging them. Let them flow. Allow this light to be the beacon that guides you, and allow these words to penetrate your energy. Make each word an anchor of gratitude, faith, and trust. With the purpose of healing, which takes away my faith, healing every feeling of separation, of pain, let it all dissolve in this moment, leaving only love, gratitude, and trust. We ask God for the presence of our guardian angel and the friendly spirits who welcome us into this enlightened environment of our Spiritist Center. We open our plexus of love and forgiveness by mentalizing a light surrounding our hearts. Find a quiet and comfortable place to begin the mentalization process. Remove all worries from your thoughts. We ask that during the pass you breathe slowly and deeply. Let your body relax and surrender yourself to a deep meditation. calmly imagine divine energies in soft and colorful light surrounding you in an environment of peace and spiritual warmth. Entrusting God with your most intimate desires, raise your thoughts to Jesus and the emissaries of the spiritual environment. The past begins with the cleansing of your soul. Imagine a waterfall of crystal clear water pouring over us, removing all the feelings that keep you away from faith and trust. Feel the energy of this water bathing you and deeply breathe in, feeling peace and harmony. Allow this water to wash away all the impurities and spiritual larvae, washing away all the sorrows and resentments, any feelings of hatred and revenge that hold us back and cause us harm, not only from this life, but past ones as well. Now visualize spiritual doctors around you, applying magnetic cleansing passes, sanitizing your spiritual body of all sadness and negative energy. Mentalize these negative thoughts and feelings being washed away, evaporating from your soul, like water evaporating into thin air, and being carried far away from your mind. Surround yourself with the faith that bathes your being, bringing clarity and lucidity, rebalancing every cell in your body. May the water envelop all pain and bring the clarity of opportunity that chooses peace. The answer arises in our hearts, freeing us from all evil and freeing all whom we have caused evil into and who have caused us evil, washing away all the connections that bind us. Even though we may not understand, we are freeing ourselves from all that causes us harm. Feel this cleansing penetrate your soul and release. Now that we are spiritually cleansed, imagine yourself surrounded by the light of love from the hands of Jesus. At this moment, sing words of faith and gratitude, being faithful to the light that exists in me, planted by the zealous Father. Imagine the sunlight that surrounds and enraptures, freeing us from the chains of everything that holds us down, strengthening your faith. Allow yourself to trust in this light, surrender to it, involved in pleasant feelings and feeling relieved to receive the strengthening lights. Mentalize your spiritual mentors now applying divine light for the strengthening of your mind and your emotions, leaving you feeling emotionally revitalized. Let us now mentalize the magnetization of this water. May we mentalize all the friendly spirits, magnetizing this water and filling it with everything that our bodies, minds, and soul need, so that it may be of help to us when we drink it after the Pass. Thank you, God.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We will be back next Tuesday here on Spiritism Canada and Continental Conference Americas at 8 p.m. East, and next Wednesday on Kardec Radio at 8 p.m. East. And please don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube from the Spiritism Canada and the Spiritist group Path of the Light. Have a good night.
Source of love that radiates, pouring up our cold night, support calling the children of earth with love in their heart, with love in their heart. My soul never loses hope, because your love always teaches me the solution lies in hard work. The solution lies in hard work. For my Lord is offering a harvest of wonderful blessings. Make you, small son, a good Christian. Make you, small son,